Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Grow Forever podcast. Today we have the only and Michella Chiu, a great woman, a woman that's working in the industry of giants. Somebody with people like Johnson and Johnson, Samsung, and so many more. Today we're gonna hear the story highlight Michella Chiu. She have a great story of what we're gonna share with the world when we talk about life, family, and business. So I welcome you, Michella Chiu.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Hi, good morning, everyone.
Awesome. So Michella, let's start off today and talk about, first and foremost, let's talk about who is Michella Chiu. Let's talk about you. Let people know where you're from, who you are, and how life been for you so far.
Right. I'm Michella Chiu. I am a real estate investor based in Washington. And I was born and raised in Hong Kong, and I came to the United States in 2011 to go to grad school in New York and New Jersey. And after leaving the academia and doing jobs for academic research, I go into marketing and have not been looking back since then. And then I am now an accredited investor as well, doing both. Work building my own portfolio and also multifamily syndication.
Awesome. That's a whole lot, Michella. You growing. So let's talk about a little bit about how do you get to this place in your business? Where do you start it from? Do you come from a family of entrepreneurs, or do you come from a family of you learn everything on your own?
This is interesting. I am so used to managing my different persona when it comes to managing my W-2 job versus real estate investing. And then it is only after I started building my portfolio that I thought to myself, my greatest teachers in business are actually my parents. And I did not think about it for a long time. So yeah, my parents are entrepreneurs themselves. They were very successful in the 80s and in the 90s. And there are some interesting lessons I get from them. For example, they actually run a printing factory for a very long time. At that time, one of the most important things that I take with me for my whole life as a business advice is how to manage a business with great cash flow and then build it and then use the cash flow to build a real estate portfolio. So what it means is that at the very beginning, it's all about relationship. I cannot emphasize more how important this is. Because at the very beginning, when they're starting, their relationship with other people, suppliers, friends, and family are so good that people are willing to give them net 120 terms, which means that there are suppliers that are willing to take their payment only after 6 months. And then they manage to use this cash flow to put it into other investment tools or vehicles and eventually build a real estate portfolio out of it as well. And another thing I would like to highlight as well is they are very sensitive to market changes. And I think this is very hard to do. For example, when they own storage facilities and factory plants, they see that their land prices are still appreciating, but not as quickly as residential properties. And then there will be times they will start selling their storage facilities, containers, and also factory plants and switch it to residential real estate, which is climbing the curve a lot faster. So I would say there are times that you will have to be very sensitive to economic changes. And there are times you will have to make a quick decision on, hey, this is the time to switch. This is the time to capture more of the growth and then make a great decision on it.
Awesome. So when it first started with your career in the business world, how was it? How do you come in managing big companies like Johnson and Johnson, Samsung? How do you get into that world? How do you get into that?
So this is also a very interesting story because like I first like came to the States wanting to teach in colleges. That's why I went to grad school for my master's and my PhDs. And then all of a sudden, like I just want to make a great career shift, and I made a change. I decided to make a change. So at that time, I really find myself in a position of thinking, oh, if I have to stop and think what my heart is telling me, what would I do? And the first thing that came into my mind was actually wine. And at that time, I actually went back to another school for wine and spirit sommelier certification. And then going from there, I got hired by wine brands to help them manage their marketing work. I also got hired by a very successful company that does a lot of business on Amazon. That really gives me the perspective of managing a business from both on the people side, managing teams, and also the very quantitative side of managing data. And now, like, I got an opportunity to join a global company, which is a marketing agency that works with all these giants, including like Lego, Samsung and Samsung, Campbell's, Johnson and Johnson, just to mention a few.
Awesome. That's so awesome. So inside this world, do you realize do you see what was possible of who you could become as well doing the same thing that you learned inside that company, inside your business?
Totally. I would say that it is so interesting to see that, and a little bit surprising to some of you as well, maybe, it's that these giants are actually not as powerful as you might think. And
wow.
I'm so sorry that like it sounds like I say it in a bad way, but not really. It's just that the way to think of it is that these giants has been there for so long and has been doing so well. Internally, they are starting to be organizational silos, which means that they have grown to a point that their different teams don't know what each other is doing. And there is so much to manage that they cannot be laser focused on one single thing. They have to be like jacks of all trades. They have to be really good on a lot of things. So this is exactly like real estate. At the very beginning, we all have shiny object symptom, and like we may not know how to manage a lot of things like at the same time in a right way. So I would say that for someone like us coming into examining a business flow and also like looking into our own real estate portfolio management as well, it is actually a great time to really do what I call an audit, which means that you do an examination of what you have to do in a business, you identify the cracks, and then you propose ideas on how to optimize that business flow. Well, I actually have a lot of like amazing experience working with amazing clients. They truly see us as partners because like we're able to advise them on of things like they might have like overlooked, or like things that like they would rather we take over, so it's off their plate versus them like spending the time doing it. So like to us, like we are consultants, we are people who they can delegate work with. So like these are also very important thinking behind managing real estate companies and also portfolios. Oh, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry about that. So how long have you been in the entrepreneur world? Like, so since you started from your family, how long will you say up today? How long you been into this industry?
Not a lot. I started in real estate 4 years ago, but I've taken a long pause in the middle to take care of my personal matters. And I come back in last year's October. Well, like honestly, I come back to a different market. Everything has changed. Like the environment is not the same as 4 years ago. So I see myself as a newbie in this world again, absorbing a lot of new knowledge and experience now.
Awesome. And I think we both are. We both tapped into the same place. We part of the great community together with a lot of people doing real estate, et cetera, et cetera. And we all build our portfolios. So what will you take on this journey? So how is this helping your family right now in your life? What is this going to take your family that you believe?
Well, so I would say I'm still very busy. Like I spend all my weekday nights and weekends on real estate, and like I would say that like my family is okay, but I would say it is all about new experiences and new friendships. And it is like the new ping pong game of bouncing ideas with each other. For example, now in Washington, I am actually fortunate enough to be in a small accountability group with other mentorship program students. They are all working professionals like who work with like giants like Costco, Facebook, or Google, for example. So like we exchange ideas on like how to like what to do with our career. Sometimes we also talk about like what to do with our like real estate, where our own real estate portfolio. And the nice thing about accountability buddies or battle buddies is that we are all at a different starting point. We all have different goals with our portfolio. So there is no competition. There is only competition on better ideas.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And another thing, right. And another thing like that I learned and take away from graduate school and the world of academic research is really your competitor is always yourself. It's not about the others, because like when everyone is doing something different and trying to be creative, there is nothing out there to be copied actually. So I would say like copying the answers, or you're not a kid anymore copying answers like from an exam, like looking at like the person next to you will not get you there. You have to figure out who you are, where you start, and you have to figure out like how to put your skills and your strength into good use, so you create a disadvantage, disadvantageous like opportunity for yourself, which is like beneficial to you.
Awesome. And that's good to work with some great teams to see different personality, how people grow. And like you said, it's not being competitive, but being competitive with who you are. Become a better person each and every day in your business and thriving of who you are. Okay, so in this year, 2023, how have your real estate journey been? Like, have you absorbed more properties? Have you bought properties? Have you, sold properties? Where you at in your real estate journey?
Well, like 2023 is just purely crazy. So our team like made our first purchase like in the Midwest, and like we settled down in Ohio. So like we're very grateful of like everyone like who are like experts of the Ohio market to get us settled in, and we are owning multifamily properties there. Yeah, and it's up and running. And at the same time, like we're also building great relationship with brokers and agents. They send me on market and off market deals for us to look at, and like the momentum is definitely building up. And at the same time, I also like is very fortunate enough to have met a person like locally who is kind enough to and trust me enough to introduce me to a private equity group that does large scale multi-family syndication of everything, like I would say 80 units or above. So like I would say like it is not easy to have these kind of relationship. I would say that like I'm confident enough to say that I come by as a genuine person. And it is later after the fact, or after I got introduced to that private equity group, that I discovered that the person who introduced me into the group is actually a little bit more private. She is an investor that likes to observe people before making a decision whether to introduce great connection to the group. So I guess like she is a CPA herself and also a CMA, and she trusts me enough to be the person who is going to do real work. And she really hates people who are salesy. Actually, she hates people who does a lot of flowery talking without taking action. So she sees me as a person who will take action and will grow together with her. And that's why she is willing to be open up a little bit and introduce me to the private equity group in multifamily syndication. So yeah, of course, like in exchange, I also like make myself and make my intention very clear, which is that I don't like taking freebies everywhere. I am here not only to learn from you and to take things from you, I am also in the position and in the mentality of giving back. So I keep saying in the group as well, if there is any way I can bring like value back to the table, I can bring value to the group, I'm always open to do that. Well, and in exchange, I actually got a few multifamily investors and like GPs and LPs and KPs reaching out to me wanting to know more about my marketing background and to help them with marketing. Because like when you reach the stage of like getting like raising funds or also like making a name for yourself in the syndication world, like there is some like marketing required to back you up. So like these are things I am doing right now. Pretty busy, gradually getting into the world of funds and also private equity, I guess.
Yes, and that's amazing. I'm excited about that step as well. I'm going to piggyback something you just said. What do giving means to you as Michella Chiu? What do giving mean to you?
It is, let me say this. Giving is not about comparison. There is no one to compare with. It is not a competition. To me, it is more about understanding yourself first, understanding where you come from and who you are first, and then go from there and see what you can offer. That's why I totally agree with like Pace Morby, for example. Even if you are a new person in a mentorship program, even though you're new to real estate, there is always something you can give or you can offer. It's just because everyone's experience is completely different. And I think this is also very meaningful for people who are starting out as well, which is that if you think that you are lost because of shiny object symptom, what I advise people to do always is to examine who you are and what your background is. Because it is more realistic to think that you have a starting point, you come with some background knowledge on something else, and then you find out which thing to focus on real estate, which it has the smallest knowledge gap, and you go from there. It is, to me, that is also very true of my career growth as well, like in my W-2 world and the corporate America world, which is that you actually grow from one field and then to another, which is tangibly related, but not exactly overlapping. And then like when you keep doing it, you will find yourself moving out of your comfort zone further and further. And after 7 or 8 years, when you look back, you will find yourself, wow, I am really far from where I originally began. But like that beginning is actually a humble beginning of where you originally started, who you are, and where your strongest skill set is. It's just that in this process, you will have to keep learning and keep giving back.
Yes, and something like you said, humbling beginnings. Every entrepreneur, business world, everybody start from the bottom. And like you said, humble beginnings. Sometimes working with big people like that makes you humble. Do you agree? Like with the people that you have worked with up to now and doing your own thing a little bit, has it humbled you a lot? Tell people what that means. Humble you in business world.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I would say that like it's I think like the success lies in observing how different people think and do things differently. There is no right or wrong. It's just that people come from a different background, and that's why they think differently. So, for example, I have like clients who like with these like big brands I just talked about, like who are very focused on the product itself or the service itself, just because that is their nature. You are not smarter than them just because you focus on data. You're not necessarily smarter than them, or they are not more stupid than you just because they are focusing on the product itself. It's more like they know their brand, they know their product, and if you come in as a consultant, as a process expert, or you come in as a data expert, which is actually my role right now, then you are able to help them fly higher and higher. And that's why like one idea I really like that also like Pace, for someone like Pace Morby, for example, like is talking about a lot, is that in the next stage of business growth, and like for any business or any industry, I would argue, is that you are going to have to make a name for yourself. And by this, I have a very specific definition for it, which is what I call thought leadership, which means that you are leading the business world through your ideas and through your experience and through your thoughts, basically. So like because of this, like no matter like now when I'm running my real estate business or when I am handling like tasks or my W-2 job, I always like do a lot of like articles, research papers, and like and even like sometimes a simple email with my thoughts. Just because like people love to know your idea, people love to know like your success and your failures as well in an honest manner, so they can take your words and like your ideas and fly. So I would say this is actually creating a win-win situation for at this stage, or at this age, I should say. Great ideas don't fly a long way necessarily. It's the exchange of the ideas and how each person take that idea and execute with it. So I would say, here I would say the humbling part is that everyone can come up with great ideas, and like it is only through exchanges that the ideas get better and better, and then everyone go do their thing and execute with it.
Awesome. I love that. And like you said, where we going in business world, people don't realize that who you come right now, if you don't brand yourself, put your stuff out there, the way that we going, you would not be noticed. So you would not be able to enter into the field with the giants. And Pace doing a great thing, a great way leading us and pushing us out as a community into the world of where we're going at. To piggyback off that, let's talk about where do you see yourself going coming into 2024? Where do you want to go? Do you want to stay in the W-2? Do you want to go full-time real estate? What do you want for yourself, Michella?
Great question. Unlike most people, I am definitely staying with my W-2 job. Okay. I see it as a weapon to help me grow my portfolio. Just because, like with my W-2 job, I have a pretty secure place to be a accredited investor in multifamily, and at the same time, I also really treasure the learning from corporate America. For example, it is I now in my company lead teams. I manage other people. I have people report to me about their work. I also have to report my work to senior leadership and also push forward ideas on how to run a business more smoothly. So like there are a lot of things that when you are working in a company with over 1,000 employees, that like when there is that scale that you will eventually be in a position to lead and learn. So like I would say that like these are like all very important skills to have. and like to take it with me in my real estate journey.
Awesome. Okay, and when I met you, I was doing some other stuff in the sober living area, and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And you know, to let people know for future on. Let's talk about private money lending. Why people need private money lending? Why you building a fund of funds? What do that mean for us as investors and investors out there in the world? What does that mean? Private money lenders, PMP, private money partners, and equity partners. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Right. So, well, funny enough, this is actually the thing I have done the longest. And also this is like how I start my real estate journey. At the very beginning, I actually didn't start by buying properties. I start by becoming a private money partner or a private money lender to investors who does fix and flips when the market is good. So of course, it's not only that the return is good for you as a partner, it is also building relationships like with people, and also like getting an idea of how things work behind the scene. I actually have involved in multiple fix and flip projects in the capacity of becoming a private money partner. And then I get to see all the things inside out, and I get to see everything behind the scene. And when it comes to time that I am buying my own properties, I already know how to manage GCs. I know how to do down to the studs flips, and then this is incredible experience for me. Yeah, and I would say it is always very true that I would say no matter how good your portfolio is, banks in general, it's their job to read you negatively. And what I mean here is that banks and lenders in general, of course, I would say corporate financial lenders I'm talking about, it is their job to read you negatively and to see whether you're lying, whether you have anything that you have not told them, or whether you are really the person you said you are. And that actually creates a lot of blockages into application. Sometimes it causes delays. So this is also why there is rarely a case that you can close a property under 20 days, for example. But if you have private money partner, it can close a lot quicker. So I would say I would quote Vina Jetty, our multifamily syndication diva, and a very successful, powerful businesswoman there. One story I heard from her is that with her portfolio and her background, there was one time that she applied for a loan from a bank, and the bank asked her to pay off her debt for her car because her DTI is too high. And everyone of us will be thinking, it's Vina. She is so successful that she really has to go do that. Everyone's biggest question at that time in the head is, really? So yeah, I would say I respect that. This is how a corporate lending, this is how corporate lender works. They have to be really careful with the work to guard against fraud. I totally respect that and understand that. But yeah, private lending and also getting a private money partner, it's always a choice. If you are starting to build your real estate portfolio, you don't limit yourself just because you have limited capital.
Awesome. And I look forward to working with you in the future with some different stuff as you become my PMP partner or lender and do some big deals. And like you said, I'm trying to lean more as well. I know you are into the multifamily world later on, which is tell people what's the opportunity of owning a multifamily. What's the difference between a single family and multifamily property? Why each one will bring more revenue? Some people don't understand that. So, do you explain a little bit on that?
If I may, I actually have an unpopular opinion, which is that multifamily is not for everyone. I think some people should never touch multifamily. So I also, well, like it really depends on where you are and also what your experience is. For example, in Washington State, there is a like very famous investor who does like ADUs and Dadu construction. To him, when he already is able to operate in that scale, have so many local connections in a super like high appreciation market, to him, doing construction is as profitable as doing multifamily. So he will never touch multifamily. So
Awesome.
the very
Wow.
first thing, so the very first thing I would say is that, well, like it really depends on which market you are, how deep your penetration and your roots into that market, and then you should decide for yourself. I don't think multifamily is for everybody. And another thing is that I think becoming a GP or an LP, it's a good way of investing, but it really depends on like how passive you want to be. I think like there is also a big misunderstanding that a lot of people think that real estate is passive income. The reality is that real estate is not necessarily passive. The meaning here with passive income is only that it is not directly proportional to how much time you devote to it. And like with operational optimization and scale, there is a chance that you can put gradually view like smaller and smaller chunks of your time to get the same return. That is what exactly passive means. It does not mean that you do nothing and you get the money. That is not true. So in the world of like multifamily, I would say the opportunity actually starts from the very basic question of how active you want to be. Where if you want to be completely passive, like then becoming an LP is your choice. But if you want to become active, then you will have to learn a lot about what a GP does, what a sponsor does, what is a role of a KP, and also how to underwrite a deal and also raising capital. Depending on like your logic and like how much of a return you want, I would say that like there are people who will only focus on one thing in the pipeline and be really good at it. There are also GPs who train other GPs or also co-GPs in a way that they hope you can and like learn every single thing and know a little bit of it, and then eventually pick one thing that you like and be laser focused on it. So like it really depends on your logic, like how you want to run with this thing and how passive you want to be. And finally, I have one note for people who want to go into multifamily, which is that I would say that most like Excel skills is pretty important. Underwriting is super important. So I would say that like if you want to go into multifamily, like even though you want to play a role in raising capital, talking with brokers and building relationship, you still have to know how to underwrite a deal or at least read a T12 or a RAM roll. So for example, now I'm trained under a private equity group. What I always amaze me is that those people who come with a CPA or a CMA background, they are able to look at a T12 or a RAM roll almost like doing forensic accounting, which means that just by reading RAM rolls and T12s, they are able to already tell what's the motivation of the sale. Why is the like seller is selling? Whether they are hiding anything from the accounting books, and like whether like the property is mismanaged when you see like different kinds of odd situation or odd fluctuations. So I would say no matter how strong your business acumen is, these are things at the very least and at the very basic level you would need to know how to read.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for explaining that well. And I want to share with the people, our guests that want to get into real estate, like myself and you and other community members, building a fund now or later in the future. What is a fund of fun? Let's tell people how they can get into real estate working with us.
Right. So, don't what like versus a fund of fund is actually a smaller fund that would eventually belong to a larger fund. It's as simple as that. So, for example, if a multifamily syndicator wants to raise around $10 million, then like you as a fund of fund manager can and tell them that can go to them and like partnering with them by saying that, hey, what if you raise $8 million and I take I take the task of raising $2 million for you, and then my fund will eventually join your fund. So like it is also like it totally depends on like your relationship and like your ability to raise capital. So I would say that like of course we welcome you to like invest with us. We would love to partner with you. But like as a step back, like if I'm wearing like an investor hat instead of an operator hat, I will always advise that you have to have a way to evaluate a sponsor, a fund, like or their past track record of investing. So like go to their website, go to their social media, like see what you can find about the sponsors, about their experience, and also like whether they and like ask to look at the OM or PPM depending on which name you use. Like and then like when you do the underwriting, like I have personally not seen a case that a T12 or a rent roll is not provided. To be honest, like I always mandate that at like in my underwriting. So these are also like good ways of, and then like by then when you don't, even if you're not doing a full underwriting, it is great if you can read the rent roll, read the T12s, just to see whether there is anything odd you see that would make you feel uncomfortable. Sometimes like I know some people trust your guts and trust like your feeling about a sponsor after talking to that person. I am not good at that, and I trust numbers. Yeah, I let numbers tell me. I know numbers speaks to me. So yeah, like again, nothing wrong with that. Like it's just like a choice and a personality thing.
Yes, and that's one thing I learned from you from when we first become friends and learning each other, become in the business world. I knew that you love numbers. I learned that about you from the very first start. Every time I sent a property to you, you always talked about the numbers, and that's the biggest key in real estate. The numbers have to work to make it a deal and to be successful in this industry. Okay, so just to let y'all know, a fun, if you want to get into real estate, don't mean you got to own real estate. That means we will have a way that you get into real estate and triple your money, 10x your money, whatever you want to do in real estate. Okay, so what do you want to do when you get to a place? Where do you see yourself in 5 years from now in this industry?
Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what the Fed is doing with the interest rates. So yeah, okay. Like that, like the government's role aside, I'm definitely looking to like acquire more, like do more multifamily syndication and acquire more properties. I think like this, it really depends on how you look at the current situation. It can be read as a dangerous environment to invest. It can also be read as a great opportunity. I actually know like there are investors seeing that the market is about to crash. They immediately quit their W-2 job and do full-time real estate. It really depends on your risk tolerance and how you read the market. But like what I am seeing so far is that more and more deals are coming out. Of course, like there will always be bad deals. So you really have to be good at your underwriting, and at least like even if you are not sharp in numbers, go online and do research and see what you can find. For example, there was one time that we successfully identified a fraud deal just by going on Google. We actually found like the sponsor's name on the third or fourth page of Google search result talking about his fraud case. So at that time, we did a very, very, very deep qualitative research or due diligence. That is not about the numbers. All the numbers look fine. but like that person's integrity is in question. So sometimes like I would say that like I'm confident enough to say that our team is really good with qualitative research. I would say all my team members like somehow like they all use Google, but like they use Google in a ways that different from other people, and they always find things that other people don't find, and that's how we identify scammers. So yeah, so like yeah, and like they are, and also like they are very like I think like I myself as well, because I come from an academic research background. We are very careful with government reports. We are very careful with filings. We are very careful with news articles, and we go so deep into validating like the news source, whether like we can identify the source of that information and go very deep into the search. That's why like we're in a case that we talked about just now, we found that piece of information in the third to fourth page of a Google search result page, while like I would say 75% of the people like just go to Google, read everything from the first search page, and then like they try something else and then they leave. So yeah, and it's a lot of, I would say, this is also the time. And also another thing I would like to highlight about multifamily at this age is that if there is a good deal out there, very often it belongs to the camp that the property is performing well. It's just that like the operator has issues with financing, and that's why they're offering you a discount to sell it. So if you, as long as you verify all the numbers, the property is in a great location, or like the property is performing well, then like we're good. But that can hopefully give you a little bit of a hint of identifying a good deal versus a bad deal. But like we always have to proceed with caution.
Awesome. So Michella, I want to thank you for coming today, but we want to do something amazing. What I do with everybody on my podcast is at the end. Okay, we thank you for sharing your story today of people of who you are working with the giants. That's amazing. A lot of people rarely come across people that work with Samsung, Google, Johnson & Johnson. That's amazing. When I first heard that from you, I was like, wow. So thank you for sharing that with us. But I want to ask you one question that everybody that follow this podcast and that will watch this later. What do Grow Forever means to you?
Like, can you repeat your question, please?
Okay, I was asking, my podcast is called Grow Forever Podcast. And yes. Something I do with everybody on my guests is I ask them one question at the end of the podcast. And okay. I'm asking you, what do Grow Forever mean to you?
Never stop learning. It's very simple. So I'm actually somebody who is very comfortable with leaving my comfort zone. That's why I have a very like untidy career path in my past. So for example, I start off like becoming like wanting to become a professor, like, and I go into academic research, and then I go to marketing. At the very beginning, there was also a short period of time I was like working for a law firm in a paralegal, and everything comes into a full circle, by the way, because now when I look back again, I suddenly remember again, because for so long that at that time, like when I worked for a law firm as a paralegal, I was actually helping international investors invest in U.S. like commercial projects or multifamily syndication in some capacity, and that's why like at that time I've already seen how a PPM works. I've already like have some idea of how security lawyers work, and it is, but at that time it means nothing to me. It's only by now, and I look back, I realize that that was it. So it's very interesting. And then and as you can see, like academic research, marketing, law. They are all very different things. And now I bring all my skills to growing my real estate portfolio. So like they are all things that like serve me a long way. And like I am looking to grow forever.
Awesome. Grow forever. So there y'all have it. Michella Chiu working with the giant. And Michelle, I'm gonna bring you back a year from now to show where you have grown so far in your real estate. I know you're gonna be even bigger, amazing, and more out here, and people get to know you. I want y'all to follow Michelle on Facebook, Instagram, and Michelle, thank you for coming to the Grow Forever podcast, and see you in the community, and bring you back again in the future.
Yep, thank you so much for having me. And guys, like, let's grow forever together.
Let's go forever. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.